My lords, ladies, and gentlemen, it is with great sorrow that I must announce the passing of my beloved mother, the Queen. The news first broke quietly, a rare and unexpected statement issued at the same time by Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. This joint message carried undeniable significance for a family known for keeping emotions private and upholding tradition. The announcement mentioned two names, King Charles and Prince William. At the center of it all stood Catherine, the Princess of Wales. The language was carefully measured, yet the underlying feeling was clear. After months of private medical care and consultations, the statement revealed that the Princess of Wales would be stepping away from public duties indefinitely to focus on her recovery and family. The final sentence struck the hardest. This was far from over. Within minutes, the internet exploded. News anchors struggled to hold back emotion. Royal experts scrambled to fill airtime, admitting they had been kept in the dark. Tabloid editors reportedly scrapped entire front pages to make room for what would become the defining headline of the year. The princess was unwell, and the monarchy had finally acknowledged the truth. Many were hit with a strong sense of déjà vu. Social media flooded with images of Princess Diana showing her compassion, pain, and distance from the institution she tried to serve with grace. Now, her son's wife, beloved by millions, was fighting her own private battle, either alone or silenced. The timing only made things worse. King Charles was already receiving treatment for cancer. Camilla bore a burden she was never meant to carry after Charles faded from public view. For weeks, William withdrew from public events, making only brief appearances, his eyes troubled and his words carefully prepared. Something had been wrong for a long time, and now it was confirmed. What made the statement so upsetting wasn't just the admission that Catherine was seriously ill, but how long it took to say it. How many photos had been altered? How many rumors dismissed as baseless, only to come terrifyingly close to the truth? Why was the public left guessing while the royal family remained silent? Perhaps the most unsettling part of the message was its tone. It didn't sound like a health update. It sounded like a family struggling to stay strong as something precious slipped away. This is more than just a story about illness. It's the story of a monarchy in crisis. A future queen silenced. A son torn between duty and love. The family was forced to speak up as the public kept asking about Catherine's absence. The silence was not just overwhelming, but intentional. What began as a small palace notice about planned surgery soon turned into the most serious royal mystery in decades. On paper, the explanation was simple. Catherine had surgery and would be out of the spotlight for a few weeks to recover. But weeks stretched into months, and no one saw her. No balcony appearances, no charity events, no public outings, nothing. In an era of 24-hour news and long-range cameras, it was unimaginable that someone as well-known as Catherine could simply vanish. The last reported sighting was Christmas Day during a walk at Sandringham. After that, the media went silent. Kensington Palace's official social media shared nothing substantial. Even posts for Mother's Day featured outdated or strangely edited photos, igniting an online firestorm. The image meant to show Catherine smiling with her children appeared to be doctored. Both critics and fans noticed awkward hand placements, strange shadows, and wardrobe issues. It didn't take an expert in Photoshop to realize something was off. The backlash grew so intense that major photo agencies like Reuters and the Associated Press pulled the image, claiming it had been altered. For a family already battling public skepticism, this only added fuel to the fire. Speculation spread online. Was Catherine ill? Had she experienced complications after surgery? Was she emotionally shattered by marital problems? Even the wildest rumors, secret pregnancies, cosmetic mishaps, hidden clinics, gained traction, not because they were necessarily believable, but because the palace left the public with no real information. Then came the infamous car photo, a paparazzi shot allegedly showing Kate in the passenger seat of a black SUV beside her mother, Carol Middleton. Yet the woman's face was obscured. The angle seemed carefully chosen, leading critics to accuse the palace of creating an excuse rather than addressing the real concerns. As tension mounted, whispers from inside the palace began to surface. According to a former staff member, Kate's condition was far more serious than anyone admitted. The surgery was only the start. Still, the palace stuck to their message. Catherine was doing well and expected to return to duties after Easter. But Easter came and went. Several major royal events, including the Commonwealth Day service, passed without any mention of the princess. This was more than an absence. It felt like erasure. Then there was Prince William. Known for his composed strength and steady calm, he started acting strangely. He suddenly canceled many engagements, including a memorial service for his godfather, King Constantine of Greece, a deeply personal occasion. Kensington Palace offered a vague explanation, citing personal reasons, which only sparked more curiosity. Was he by Catherine's side, or was the family unraveling behind closed doors? Some reports said William was spending more time at Adelaide Cottage with the children, refusing to carry out royal duties while his wife suffered silently. He was torn. A royal aide reportedly said, "Duty said he should be out leading, but his heart was at home. He couldn't pretend everything was fine when it wasn't." Meanwhile, the rest of the royal family continued as usual. Queen Camilla made more public appearances. Even undergoing cancer treatment, King Charles issued press releases and video statements. The message was clear. This topic was off limits. But that only made things worse. Each day, people became more convinced that something was being hidden. This wasn't a recovery, it was a cover-up. The monarchy's refusal to show vulnerability or share honest updates created a void filled by public fear, anger, and speculation. What nobody outside the palace realized was that Catherine was battling something terrible. But it wasn't just a physical illness. It was a fight to protect her privacy in an institution that prizes control, silence, and tradition. For too long, the question echoing across millions of homes and newsrooms went unanswered. Where was Catherine? And why was the palace hiding the truth? Just as rumors about Catherine reached a fever pitch, the palace dropped another bombshell. King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer. For an organization known for secrecy, this was unusually frank. The official statement said the cancer was found by chance during treatment for an unrelated prostate issue, and the king had begun regular outpatient therapy. But seasoned royal watchers saw it differently. This wasn't transparency, it was damage control. The king's illness was more than a personal crisis. It presented an unprecedented leadership challenge. For the first time in modern royal history, both the reigning monarch and the future queen were incapacitated. The entire structure of the monarchy began to wobble. Who was really in charge? Who was making the decisions? And most importantly, who was telling the truth? Prince William seemed like the natural leader, but he chose to step back. In fact, he did the opposite of stepping forward. While Charles continued to appear at carefully arranged events with limited public exposure, William almost vanished from the royal scene. He missed an important diplomatic conference with Commonwealth leaders, canceled engagements without explanation, and even delayed returning to royal duties when his children went back to school. This wasn't just about Catherine's health. Something much deeper was unfolding. Sources inside Buckingham Palace described confusion and disagreement. One insider said the king wanted things to continue as usual, but William wasn't cooperating. According to those close to Kensington Palace, William grew frustrated with the official narrative, especially the effort to present both his father and wife as doing well when the reality was far grimmer. Charles reportedly pressured William to fulfill his public responsibilities and keep the monarchy steady, but William refused. Behind closed doors, their relationship became strained. The traditional image of a united royal family, with Charles mentoring his heir, was replaced by tense, curt phone calls and conflicting public statements. The core of their disagreement was how to handle Catherine's absence. Charles, apparently influenced by Camilla and senior courtiers, preferred a low-key approach, releasing only carefully crafted statements to avoid panic and preserve royal mystique. But William had reached his breaking point. He demanded clarity. When he was denied updates, he began quietly stepping back from his duties until his wife's situation was acknowledged. A particularly intense argument reportedly took place at Burghill, Charles's Scottish residence. William, unusually blunt, is said to have told his father, "You can't keep hiding this anymore. She deserves better than silence." Charles, weakened by chemotherapy but determined, insisted the monarchy maintain its dignity. But William saw dignity as dishonesty. With Charles weakened by treatment and William reluctant to step into the spotlight, the monarchy entered a dangerous state of limbo. The chain of command was broken. Queen Camilla started taking on more responsibilities, representing the crown at foreign events, things she wouldn't have done just a year earlier. Yet as Camilla's role grew, public support declined sharply. Polls showed that confidence in the monarchy dropped significantly during this period, with Catherine's absence seen as the most troubling factor. With the king ill, William withdrawn, and the Princess of Wales missing, the British monarchy resembled a house of mirrors, reflections, distortions, and shadows without clear substance. In this leadership vacuum, one fact became clear. The crown had lost its center, and everyone knew it. As the royal family dealt with two simultaneous health crises, the king's cancer diagnosis and Catherine's mysterious disappearance, one figure quietly stepped into the spotlight: Queen Camilla. But instead of reassuring the public, Camilla's growing presence stirred suspicion, hostility, and whispers of something worse. At first, her increased visibility was explained as necessary. With Charles undergoing treatment and William retreating, Camilla took on more duties, hosting guests, attending official functions, and leading Commonwealth events. However, it wasn't just her role that changed. Her influence behind the scenes grew as well. Several royal reporters revealed that in the absence of Charles's active leadership, Camilla and her private staff began managing internal communications, including those about the Wales family. A former palace official said Camilla's team controlled press responses about Catherine's health, deciding what would be shared, and more importantly, what would be left unspoken. And what was left unsaid spoke volumes. Whenever the public asked, "Where is Catherine?" the response was silence. When they asked if she was okay, the palace offered vague reassurances. Photos released were blurry, oddly cropped, or later revealed to have been digitally altered. The internet's verdict was swift. Someone was hiding the truth. Increasingly, Camilla was blamed. Some insiders believe this was intentional. Camilla never liked being overshadowed. A source close to Kensington said, "Kate was loved, graceful, and relatable. Everything Camilla wanted to be." When Kate disappeared, Camilla saw a chance to rise, and she took it. That may explain her sudden new assignments. Several events once shared by William and Catherine were suddenly handed to Princess Anne and Camilla instead. Even Catherine's long-held patronages, such as those supporting early childhood development, were put on pause, while Camilla's charities gained more focus. The shift was obvious. So was the subtle smear campaign that began beneath the surface. Rumors spread that Catherine was struggling mentally, had overestimated her recovery, and might not be fit for royal life. None of these claims came from official palace channels, but were repeatedly voiced by those close to Camilla's circle. Then, in late March, a leaked remark surfaced during a private event. When asked about the Princess of Wales by a guest, Camilla reportedly smiled and said, "We all need a break from duty now and then, don't we?" Though mild on the surface, the comment felt sharp. A polite jab. It sent shockwaves through royal circles. Was Camilla subtly undermining Catherine, or was she simply out of touch? The public had already made up their minds. Social media exploded with anger. Hashtags like #StandWithKate and #NotMyQueen trended worldwide. Camilla's approval ratings plummeted, especially among younger people. But it wasn't just the general public growing uneasy. Reports suggested that even William began limiting Camilla's access to Catherine's medical team, insisting that future updates come through Kensington Palace rather than the Queen's staff. The growing divide between the Wales family and Charles's inner circle, particularly Camilla, was no longer rumor. It was reality, and perhaps the most damaging part. Camilla's name was absent from the joint statement on Catherine's health. It was signed only by King Charles and Prince William. A small but important omission, because despite her rising influence, one fact became hard to ignore. Camilla's silence about Catherine wasn't protective. It was control. The line between self-preservation and sabotage had never been thinner. For years, Prince William embodied royal restraint, disciplined, measured, and steady in public duties. But with Catherine, his composed facade began to crack. William's behavior shifted from distant to confrontational in the weeks after Catherine vanished from public life. At first, it was subtle. He reduced his appearances, canceled last minute, and avoided press beyond brief scripted statements. But as rumors about Catherine's health spread and the palace stayed silent, William's quiet turned into resistance. Behind the scenes, he was reportedly furious. Insiders at Kensington describe a man no longer willing to play the obedient heir. While his wife became a public mystery, William refused to follow the script. Staff claimed he felt they were erasing her, treating her like a liability, rather than the future queen. When Charles, already ill, asked William to take on more royal duties, William flatly declined. He supposedly told his father, "My place is with my wife, not on parade." It wasn't shirking responsibility. It was drawing a line. Tensions peaked during a secret crisis meeting at Windsor, where senior advisors from Buckingham and Kensington gathered. Charles's advisors, many seasoned veterans, urged William to uphold the monarchy and maintain public trust. But William had had enough. "How can there be trust," he said, "when all we give the public are lies and airbrushed silence?" During this time, William made a bold decision to write his own statement, one that would finally reveal to the public what was really happening with Catherine. Maybe not the whole truth, but enough to break the cycle of secrecy. Getting that message out wasn't easy. King Charles, still relying on Camilla's team for advice, was hesitant. Courtiers feared that revealing too much could trigger a media storm or fracture the monarchy's image. But William stood firm and wasn't negotiating. He demanded any official update on Catherine come directly from him, reviewed by her doctors and Kensington staff, not through Buckingham Palace. He also made it clear that if his demands weren't met, he would step away from all royal duties indefinitely. No appearances, no briefings, no public events. A prince on strike. Charles, weakened by treatment and focused on preserving the fragile monarchy, relented. What followed was historic. A joint statement released, not by the royal institution but by father and son, two future kings forced to face the truth. When the announcement finally came, the mood across the UK was somber. But those watching William deliver it saw something more than sorrow. They saw determination. His voice trembled, his eyes were tired, but he didn't hide behind a podium or palace walls. He stood beside his father, not just as a royal, but as a husband, asking for empathy, compassion, and space. It was the monarchy's most human moment in years. It was also a clear signal to the royal machine. Prince William was done playing along. It wasn't about protocol anymore. It was about saving the woman he loved from being consumed by the very system that had destroyed his mother. The moment William and Charles issued their heartfelt joint statement, revealing the seriousness of Catherine's illness, the UK, and much of the world, seemed to hold its breath. Streets grew quiet. Morning shows paused their usual programming. The atmosphere was heavy, raw, and all too familiar. For millions watching, this was not the first time they had seen a royal woman they admired suffer in silence. Within hours, the headlines shifted from Catherine's condition to Diana's. The media quickly drew comparisons. Two women married into the royal family, beloved by the public, both swallowed up by the pressures and politics of the institution. While Diana fought her battles openly through televised interviews, passionate speeches, and public appearances filled with silent pleas, Catherine disappeared without a trace, forced to suffer behind palace walls. It wasn't just the press making the connection. The public did too. People began leaving flowers outside Kensington Palace and Windsor Castle, not out of grief, but in solidarity. Handwritten notes addressed to "Our Princess" appeared alongside photos of Catherine. A child placed a sign that read, "We lost Diana. We won't lose you too." The symbolism was clear. Social media ignited. Hashtags like #PrayForCatherine, #NotAgain, and #ProtectThePrincess trended globally. Videos resurfaced showing Diana's most painful interviews alongside footage of Catherine's last royal appearances. Smiling, graceful, yet visibly exhausted, according to some viewers. Then came the anger. Many expressed frustration with the monarchy. "They did it again," one viral post declared. "They learned nothing from Diana. Still cold, still silent, still hiding." Thousands agreed. The institution had failed to protect Catherine just as it had failed Diana years before. Public trust in the monarchy plunged. Polls showed a major shift in attitude, especially among younger generations. For the first time in years, more Britons supported William and Catherine as individuals than the institution they represented. In other words, they wanted change, but no longer believed in the system. The backlash was so severe that even die-hard monarchists voiced concern. Royal biographers, long defenders of the institution, appeared on talk shows looking grim, describing the situation as catastrophic, tone-deaf, and hauntingly familiar. Yet, amid the national uproar, there was an eerie silence from across the Atlantic. Despite the well-known family tensions, many expected Prince Harry to speak out in support. But no public statement came. Sources close to Meghan Markle said she reached out privately to William and Catherine with thoughts and prayers. Still, no proof surfaced, and Harry remained unusually quiet. Some took this as respect, others as another sign of a deeply fractured family. Meanwhile, rumors spread that Catherine's condition had been known for months, and that senior royals, including Camilla, had strongly opposed making it public. Many found it hard to believe such a private matter had been reduced to a royal PR strategy. The shadow of Princess Diana loomed over it all, not just as a mother or former princess, but as a warning that if the monarchy continues to protect itself at the expense of its women, public support may disappear altogether. After the joint statement, as the public tried to process the truth, one thing became painfully clear. This was more than a health crisis. It was a reckoning. For years, the monarchy had hidden behind tradition, silence, and carefully staged appearances. But by refusing to be honest about Catherine, they lost something far more valuable than privacy. They lost the public's trust. The Princess of Wales was never just a title. To millions, she represented hope, kindness, and modern grace. She was the steady heart of a monarchy struggling to stay relevant, a mother raising future rulers with humility, and a woman carrying heavy expectations without complaint. Then she disappeared. The institution that promised stability chose silence. The system meant to protect its image once again destroyed the humanity of one of its brightest stars. But this time, the public saw through it. They took sides. They didn't rally for the crown. They stood with Catherine. No matter what happens next, whether she returns to public life or retires to heal, the princess has already made her mark. She is more than just the future king's wife. Long before a crown is placed on her head, she has already been chosen by the people. And William, by stepping outside palace tradition to defend his wife, became more than an heir. He became his mother's son. As the royal family moves forward, fractured and scarred, one question lingers, not in palace corridors, but in the hearts of the public. If the monarchy cannot care for its own, why should anyone believe it cares for them? The answer may shape the future of the crown. If that future exists, it won't be because of thrones or titles. It will be because of the woman who dared to disappear, and the man who refused to let her vanish.